There's a very big difference between being a full marketer and being somebody who's a math quant of the moment marketer. Models have it harder on TikTok than they did on Instagram because you got to do a little something. Mathematicians who...
How fast do you think you could build a successful company, and how would you do it?
Well, that last part made this more interesting. So the fact that it says, even the question gets exciting for me because you said, how fast can you build a successful company? Even that is why I think most people are not winning. I've never thought of anything besides how slow can I build something.
But speed matters now.
I think speed is the poison. Yeah, okay. Speed matters. I also think it's why nobody's winning. Speed is the devil.
But so is sitting and analyzing and never doing.
No shit.
Right. So there's an opposite.
That's right.
There's a counter.
Do you know why everyone's sitting and analyzing so much? Because they're trying to figure out how to do it fast. Speed's the fucking devil. It was really funny. Obviously, back to jumping in. That was a really fun moment, right? Because I'm saying TikTok, because I think you're going to go, where do you start? And
that's why I didn't stop.
And I appreciate that. I like how you did it. The reason I went so ham 4 years ago on TikTok was I knew what the fucking question is from everyone. I was like, fuck, this could actually get people going. Because we'd gone through 5 years of mature Facebook and Instagram, and it was like, there was no fast.
Yep.
TikTok was the first thing that I saw that was fast, completely based on the merit of the creative. But the problem is, a lot of the people that got it fast didn't necessarily go into it trying to get it fast. Some of it was on a spoof, on a lark. Some heard me and talked about shit they cared about, and because they cared about it, and they were passionate about Star Trek, and they knew a lot about fucking Spock and Captain Kirk, it hit for the people that also did. So, I think the interesting part of your question, the answer to your question is, if I was exactly me, would be okay because I've never wanted fast because I've always sensed, and now I feel very confident that I'm right at 46 years old, that fast is what fucks everyone up because you go into shortcut land and that's just real talk. It just is. So I couldn't recommend more people trying to think about things like, okay, and this is why I fuck with the youngsters. For the youngsters, I'm like, listen, when you're 20, if I'm telling you 10 years, when you're 20, you were 10 years old 10 years ago. And I remember being 22 and my cousin Bobby being 30. And I thought my cousin Bobby was the oldest man on earth. So I know how hard it is when I tell them, hey, think of this as a 10-year game. They're like, fuck you, Gary. That feels like forever. The problem is, it's why so many 20-year-olds lose. It's also back to mental health and all that. It's why they're all so anxious. They want fast to show everyone else they won. They don't want fast for any other reason but to flex. And that's really fucking them up. Fast is the devil. The cancer is doing it for other people thinking you made it. So now you got fast cancer is how most of these kids are playing it.
You use some of that towards your fuel. Like you say it all the time where people thought you were a loser because you were the entrepreneur, like growing up. You use that as a chip on your shoulder. Chip
on shoulder is very different. Yes, to your point. Yes, but the problem is when I was growing up and using it as a chip on the shoulder, I wanted the merit of success to be it. I never thought anyone on earth would know who I was. In the business community, I literally thought in the liquor business people would know me, and that was my life.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up with what these kids want. Almost every kid subconsciously wants fame. It's fucking insane. There's a reason why most actors and actresses, especially child ones, went to rehab. It's fucking hard. Back to what we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
I wanted chip on shoulders to be successful for the game. A lot, which is why I never bought shit. To this day, it's why I don't buy shit. Because I don't want the proxy. I didn't want the Mercedes or BMW or Rolex or house in Short Hills with a pool and a house in the Hamptons. I didn't even know the Hamptons existed until I was 30 years old. I grew up in Jersey my whole life. I knew nothing about the flex. Now, back to chip on shoulder, to your point as motivation, it's the perception of success that all these kids want. They want blue check money, fake chain, the girl, the guy, the photo in Ibiza to pretend they're successful. That's the most fucking cancerous of it all.
So what's your advice? Before we even get to the advice, how would you do it? So you have no rep, you're not you lost all your followers. Yep. You have no contacts, no reputation anymore.
Step one.
Just your mind.
Gotcha.
How do you build it?
Step one. for everybody who's listening who's in this spot, which is almost everyone.
Yep.
You have to be, step one, self-aware of how you're best at creating content. Step one. Are you a writer? Are you audio? Are you video? If you're video, it will always have the most upside. Just the truth of the way the world works. Movie actors are more famous than authors. It's just the way it works. But if not, don't force it. So is it written word, audio, or video? Step two, scalable format. You know, when we cross paths and said, do a Q&A show, that's scalable, right?
Yep.
You know, to me, I can't produce content. I'm too busy, but I can double bubble. I can do something and put somebody on like I am right now. I can get the content. That's how I feed my machine. So step two becomes, first you're like, what?
And that's how you get podcast number 3.
You know, so how do you A, communicate? B, what's the most scalable thing? Think back to what I did when nobody knew who I was. What's the most scalable thing I can do? Oh, there's a million wines in the world. I'll never review them all. And every day I can wake up and go downstairs because I have a liquor store and grab 3 bottles of wine and review them. So I did it from day one. A scalable thing. I think Q&A, or even if you have, somebody said to me the other day, it was a really fun combo. He's like, I can't do Q&A because nobody knows who I am. I can't even ask anybody to ask me a question. I'm like, do you know anybody? Because I was like, just bring them on. He's like, not really. I said, back to Samai's, I said, great news. Your content should be taking people's questions all over the internet or comments and make content. Look what's going on TikTok.
Yep.
Replying to comments in video form are the most viral shit going. You can go and do that from other people's accounts. You can stitch and duet your way to the Hall of Fame. It's all there if you're willing to go there, but you got to, so for me, it would be first, who am I? I would say I'm video. Next, I would go to, how do I bring value? Everyone can bring value. I really believe that. Every person listening right now does have strengths, or at least are enthusiasts or opinionists. A lot of time people want to be an expert before they make pretend they're an expert, which is why they die on impact. All those fakers out there, all those Gary V fakers that you referenced earlier, because they're not actually marketing experts. That's why they're losing. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But
then you have the people who are good who have imposter syndrome and they don't know how to get over that as well.
Correct.
Right?
That's insecurity, right? Like that. The way to get through insecurity is through sheer will. It's by consuming. The negative consumption of your life got you to insecurity. Mom, dad, school, older brother, like could be a million different things. The only way to get into that is the positive reinforcement. The reason I work so well for so many is I'm that positive pusher, and then they go do it and they're like, fuck, I could do this the whole time. And so I love being that for people, and I want more people to replicate that behavior. And so for me, it's really that. And so you figure out who you are, you talk about what you know or what you like. I'm trying to get a lot more people to think of themselves as enthusiasts instead of experts. You could be a Jets enthusiast. You don't have to know as much as I do about the Jets' pure history. Just talk about liking it, and you're excited about, whatever you're excited. Zach Wilson's this, or Garrett Wilson that, or Robert Saleh this.
It comes back to the posting of the content again of Gary could talk about whatever he wants because he has that attention. Well, I go on and say, I enjoyed the Jets game today.
But
who cares?
That's such a losing mentality, and I'll tell you why. On that theory, it completely takes out of account that Logan Paul and Charlie D'Amelio and Gary Vaynerchuk had 0 followers when they posted the first time. Because that's the truth. Because I know both of those 2 careers, so I'll use them as much bigger audiences than me, playing in that youth culture. Like, I don't understand that mentality at all.
Oh, they're giving up before they even start.
Yeah, I mean, there's no logic to it. Like if someone's able to do something.
But I think that's what people do, right? They put their heroes on a pedestal because then they don't have to. There's a reason, right? Oh, I can't do it because Gary's unique. Or I can't do it because Logan's unique. They put them up on a pedestal and they never have to reach that fame because, look, they're unicorns. I can never do it.
And look, listen, I think there are people that are naturally, first of all, you look at like the rise of Instagram.
Yep.
In the Instagram era, being attractive was a real skill set. It was an era for models, both male and female. And you saw a lot of people raise in fame by just being attractive. Attractive can be bought. We've seen that in our culture now. But for the most part, that's like not something you can control. In the same way, when you look at TikTok, being funny, being creative, that's a skill set. Yes, that can be refined more than being attractive, though. You can work out and do things. And, it's just getting people to understand everything is controllable on your level if you really want to go there. You know, every time I say being attractive, a lot of people DM me and they're like, you're wrong, and show me a million examples.
Oh, that clip got a 500,000 views, over 1 million views with what we spoke about being good looking. But it's you say in your control versus out of your control. I think we've seen a lot, and I'm going to bring this down to a marketing question because you do run an agency, right? That specializes in marketing and advertising.
Yes.
There's with iOS issues and platform changes. All these brands are focusing on everything that's outside their control versus the things that are inside their control. How do you make your website convert better? How do you get from a 1.5 conversion rate to a 2, and now you make more money?
By the way, the marketing's in their control as well. Like the algorithms changing or retargeting changing is no different than you're running ads on, let me just give you the historical comp. You bought TV commercials as an upfront to be on Seinfeld, and then Seinfeld decides it's not going to come back.
The problem was you also had all these people grow during a COVID era where it was, they could see their $1 and $5 out.
You mean mathematicians.
Yeah. Fair.
Right? This is very important.
You're right.
I want to make this point for everybody here. There's a very big difference between being a full marketer and being somebody who's a math quant of the moment marketer. Models have it harder on TikTok than they did on Instagram because you got to do a little something. Mathematicians who are purely math have it much harder in iOS 14.5 post than they did pre, because they would run unlimited Facebook because it was the greatest machine of all time. They would get you to the website, they would cookie you, and they would retarget you into oblivion where the creative was almost non-existent.
Didn't matter.
Had to adjust.
Yeah. So we're about to be hit, or we're in, or it's coming, or maybe it's not coming, a recession. With all these brands that are looking at all this, right? And that's the first thing they cut is advertising.
Yes.
But it's the biggest mistake because you need more customers and more sales. So what's your advice to brands when this is going to hit, when the recession's coming, and the first thing they're going to look at is, well, Facebook doesn't work the same way it did when we were in a unicorn moment where cost per impression was at an all-time low and attention was at an all-time high because people were home. You're not going to have that moment anymore. But they all tripled on advertising spend and they grew. The ones who didn't shrunk. What's your advice to brands heading into this recession now?
During the hardest times or the easiest times, the answer is always to do the best thing you can do with every penny.